So thank you everyone for joining us tonight. We needed a chance to get everybody together and have a discussion about what has happened and decisions that have been made in regards to our project at 621 Constance. I've got a bit of a report to give, and then Rick Letting will be making a couple of comments, and then we'll open it up for questions. I should let you know, in case it looks a little strange, because normally I don't read from notes, but I do have notes tonight to make sure that I cover all the important points for you. So to give you an update on what's been going on, additional inquiries and discussions with the Township of Esquimalt have not gone as we expected them to go. The city has concerns now with the developments going on around us that we would be too small of a building and stuck in the middle of a bunch of 12-story large buildings projects. So the concerns are so much that they want us to obtain the 12-unit strata building to the south of us in order to make our project a much larger project. We did inquire, and we've made inquiries. We've had discussions with the owners, but it would take years and a lot more money to actually make this happen, if ever we could happen, because you got to get 12 people to agree. So this drastically raises the risks and the time frame for our project. We can't build what we wanted, despite earlier indications to the contrary. So with this new information, timelines required, and risk factors of material costs and interest rates possibly rising, has resulted in a business decision to abandon our plans to build the apartment building on Constance. We've also decided to return all of the capital to our investors at this point in time. This is a difficult but necessary conclusion based on the realities that we have been presented with. We have explored all the possible scenarios that we could think of, and others as well. Constraints on the development are not what we had been led to believe when we started this journey. The parking requirements are more onerous. The setbacks are great. And even if we compensate for these problems, the potential return for investors is not worth the escalated risk. As such, we would much rather return your principal to you. The number one rule in investing that we've all been taught is capital preservation, and we take that very seriously. This hasn't been an easy decision for us, but the risks involved are too great. We do not want to see anyone lose principal, and as a limited partner, you can lose all or part of your capital, and we don't want you to lose any of it. It's not our desire at all. It should be noted that the substantial portion of investor funds were used to purchase the property. And so the general partners will be borrowing in order to return your full principal. We expect to recoup our borrowed funds and pay off the mortgage and any expenses upon sale of the existing building. Fortunately for us, we do believe that the building has increased in value. We don't necessarily expect a profit, but if there is one, you would share in that as stipulated in the limited partnership agreement on the pro rata basis of the 60-40 split. The process to do this will begin within the next week to 10 days. There will be a release and acknowledgement form that you will be asked to sign and return. Also, we will need a void check on the bank account you want the funds deposited into. The limited partnership itself will not be dissolved until the building has been sold, expenses, mortgage, and any profits have been distributed. If there ends up being a loss, the general partners will be absorbing that themselves. The four of us, the general partners, considered our job to be prudent with your money and not to risk it unnecessarily. As you know, we are not obligated to give the capital back at this time. We could wait until the building is sold. But we feel that it's in the best interest for you to get your money back so that you can redeploy that money and get it working for you wherever you see fit. We don't know how long the building will take to sell, but we feel it's better having the funds back in your hands as soon as possible and not making you wait when we know that we cannot move forward. We are truly disappointed, of course, by this turn of events, but believe it is to be the right thing at this time. We are custodians of your money, and we take that very seriously as well. We thank you for your support, and we'll keep you in the loop as things progress and for what happens. We aren't going anywhere. We'll be here to take calls, to talk you, to walk you through this, and also to be there. We're not going anywhere. We're not giving up. We will, I'm sure, find other projects to do in the future, but the risk is just too high that we're not going to be able to return you a reasonable rate of return. Plus, it's possible that we could lose some of your capital, and that's just not acceptable for us. So in summary, we cannot proceed as planned. We are going to be putting the property up for sale, but we are going to be returning your capital to you now within the next week to 10 days. We'll start that process, so you all should be paid out within the next 2 weeks. Again, we want to thank you for your support. We want to thank you for your trust in us. And I'm going to let Rick Letting say a few comments, and then we're going to open it up for questions because I'm sure you're going to have a few. So anyway, take it away, Rick. So we'll have to unmute Rick.
Can you folks all hear me?
Yep.
Good. Okay, so I want to cover two things. Yeah, first of all, I just want to elaborate a little bit on what Sherry has said, and the fact that, yeah, they're typically speaking in a scenario like this, what would happen is that the limited partnership through the general partner would just go ahead and sell the property, and they wouldn't pay out anybody in advance. They just basically sell the property. Whatever money came out of the sale of the property, they would pay off the mortgage, and they would basically pay off the capital to the limited partners to the extent that they have money. If there's a loss, the loss would be effectively become a part of would become the limited partner's loss. The general partner typically wouldn't have a loss in that case. But in this particular scenario, that's kind of the way that it would normally happen in a limited partnership situation. The folks here are doing it a little differently. They're protecting the limited partners as opposed to themselves, which I think is should be recognized. So the second thing that I want to talk about is just the protocol or the process that we're going to use in order to do this. So what's going to happen is that there is going to be a loan, that the limited partnership is basically going to receive a loan. And I think we've chosen Rick Hugendorn to basically provide that loan. And it's probably going to be, I think, about $800,000. Now, Rick is going to have to, I suspect, borrow that money from a line of credit. So he's going to basically, the only thing he's going to charge to the limited partnership is whatever interest he has to basically pay in order to loan that money to the limited partnership. But so what's going to happen here is in the next few weeks, you folks are going to receive some documentation that you have to just sign off on. And one of it's just going to be an acknowledgement. And the acknowledgement, the purpose of the acknowledgement is just to basically let everybody know that Rick is basically loaning this money, and everybody's agreeing that that it's a proper expense of the limited partnership to basically pay back that loan together with any interest that's accrued. And so what's going to happen then is that once the money which is sitting in the bank account is added to whatever Rick's going to put into the limited partnership, the capital coming back to the limited partners will be paid back. So you folks will become whole. Now, then what will happen is that in time, the property will be sold. And once the property is sold, then of course, the existing mortgage on the title to the property has to be paid off. And whatever's left over will be divided amongst the partners in their proportionate amount as set out in the limited partnership agreement. So, and of course, if there is a shortfall, as Sherry mentioned earlier, if there is a shortfall so that there isn't enough money to pay off Rick Hugendorm, then what's going to happen is that the general partners, the parties within the general partner are going to provide sufficient funds to the limited partnership to pay off Rick. Now, hopefully that doesn't happen, and we have enough money coming out of the sale of the property and added to the amount of capital which is sitting in the bank account that Rick will be paid off in full, and hopefully there's going to be a bit of profit, and everybody will get a small amount of profit. So that's really all I wanted to say. Is I just wanted to kind of play the legal player here and just kind of work through the actual process so that everybody kind of has an understanding as to the protocol here.
Thank you, Rick. And so we're going to open it up for questions. Now you have to hit the raise your hand thing so that we can, or literally raise your hand so that we can see you and not have everybody talking at once.
Yeah, so the best thing to do is, either raise your hand on camera or hit your little under the reactions button on your computer. You should be able to do what's called the raise hand, and that puts you in the queue for questions.
Yeah, and Corrine was first up that I saw.
There it is.
Thank you.
Robert.
First of all, I'd just like to acknowledge how well this is being handled. So thank you very much. And I just had a question for Rick, if you could clarify in respect to the loan that's being taken out to pay off the limited partners. Did I hear you correctly that so as a limited partner, we'll be paying a portion of the interest on that loan?
Well, technically speaking, you won't be paying the interest because the limited partnership will, but the purpose of that loan is to pay out your limited partnership capital contribution. So the loan won't come off, for example, won't be deducted from your capital contribution. You'll get your capital contribution back in total. So the risk for that interest basically falls back onto the general partner here. As to if the general partner, for example, couldn't sell the property for enough money to basically pay back Rick in full together with that interest, then the general partners are going to basically they're going to take on that loss.
Thank you.
Okay, Robert, I think you were second with your hand up.
Okay. Thanks again for the presentation, and appreciate that you want to make us whole as investors. And just have a couple of questions. So we have basically two choices: either accept to take our investment back in the next couple of weeks, or stay as investors with you guys with the hope of making us a profit on the sale of the property. And no. Oh, so
you will participate in profits of the sale of the property regardless. So you don't need to leave your money in to basically participate in those profits.
Yeah, so there isn't really a choice here. You're getting your capital back. Okay. The limited partnership is not being dissolved, and what that means basically is that when the building is sold and everything is paid back, any profits will be distributed to all of the limited partners based on the limited partnership agreement. So that's what's happening. So you will get profit. If profit is there, you will get your share for sure.
And the general partner will get its share as well, you know,
Yeah.
whatever it says in the agreement.
Yeah, it's a 60-40
So in other
split.
words, any monies over and above the repayment of the loan or the mortgage, which is registered against the property, the limited partnership, any money that's left over, that's just going to be divided up like normal profits.
And if
And you
there's a,
don't need to have capital contribution in the project in order to get that portion of your profit.
Mhm.
You're still going to get that, and you're going to get your money back early. So you're getting the best of both worlds here.
so, but if there's a loss on the sale, we don't participate in the loss,
Correct.
You do not participate in the loss.
only if there's a profit.
Yeah.
Okay. And what's the timeline for getting back our principal investment?
2 weeks.
2 weeks. Okay.
Yeah. We'll be starting, and of course, we'll be going by certificate number. So we'll be starting with the people who were first, and we'll be doing that. So we'll be getting those out. They likely will not go out to everybody in one day. It'll probably take us 2 or 3 days to get the forms out. And then we need those back with a void check and of where you want those funds deposited. And we will get bank drafts and deposit that money into those accounts. Provided if you are out of town and you have like a credit union that we don't have access to, we'll have to do a wire transfer or work out some other type of payment. But anybody that banks with the regular 5 or whatever will be just putting the money back in your account.
Do you want to talk more about why the city council had given you a very positive response initially, and why
Yeah.
they might have why they gave you the positive response
Mhm.
initially when they knew what was happening around that area?
Yes, they did have some areas. Things sort of change. Anyone who's worked with municipalities for any length of time will know that they can be fickle. They can change their mind. Also, it depends on who's talking to who. And sometimes everybody thinks, okay, this is the page we're on and everything's moving here. And then it goes way up the chain, and that chain is going, that's not what I said. That's not what that's not what we're doing. That's not, so those kinds of things happen. And lots of times you can work, you work with those or whatever. This one did not work that way. And, they were pretty adamant. We looked at, we explored everything like, well, what could we put on here for townhouses if you won't let us go up in this tall, skinny building, which is what would have happened in order to meet the parking and the setbacks, which changed actually in the time from when we started until now, what they told us for setbacks, what they told us we'd require for parking. So it made it that, we would have this very skinny, tall building, which would actually not look good. And they're just going, that's not how we want things to look in this area. We want you to do a bigger project. So go get the building. But that building could take us at least 2 years to get, if we could get it. And that's a big if. We're dealing with strata owners who, when you're dealing with strata owners, it's different than buying the owner of a whole building, because those owners, most of them are owner occupied. They have to now go and find another place to live in with the money that they get from that unit. And good luck with the soaring prices that what we can afford to actually return a profit or hope to return a profit would even be enough for them to go and buy a home in this market. So that's sort of the basic feedback that we have gotten from that, and so on and so forth. So that just stretches our timeline really, really far. And yet it doesn't increase the rate of return. In fact, it would lessen the rate of return that we could give investors. It just doesn't make it viable And so it's far easier for us to say, let's just stop this now and get everybody their money back now, as opposed to trudge along for another year or two and then go, you know what, we can't do this, or, oh, we need way more money, or whatever it is. Like, that risk is just too high in this market right now for us to really feel confident or comfortable with you group that have supported us and believed in us. So we just take that seriously, and we're not going to take that risk with your money.
Do you feel you were misled by the officials? I mean, I don't want to take up more time, but I'm just curious about the whole process because I'm new to this.
Yeah, no, I don't feel overall that we were purposely misled. I think, you know, there may have been some confusion or misinformation, but no, I don't believe that we were purposely misled. Lorraine had her hand up. You'll have to, oh, Joan's unmuting you.
Yeah.
There you go, Lorraine, talk.
Thank you. I apologize for arriving a little bit late, and I kind of wondered if this was maybe what was going to be happening when it was sort of like, be here at this meeting. Nobody else here, I don't think, knows me, but I just want to tell you how grateful I am. I can tell that this was not an easy decision, but of the four of you, I know Sherry for a couple decades, and I'm so grateful that you have done your due diligence. You know that this is the best thing for us, which is pretty remarkable. Like, there are some, you know, I'm sure there's lots of slimy people out there who would take the money and run, but you are doing the best thing for us. And I watch, you know, the market, and as an Esquimalt resident of several decades, and born and raised here and went away for a long time and came back, you know, they can't keep, Esquimalt was trying to grow up really quick, and there's so many developers have come to the area, and probably, you know, council for a while was like, yeah, that's neat, and then all of a sudden all the developers come in, that's neat, and I'm sure there's probably been some backlash from the residents, like, you can't keep doing this or whatever, you know, like, I don't know, but I would imagine, you know, it's a lot, and so this just feels really, really comfortable for me, and I'm grateful to get the money now instead of kind of, you know, dragging us along, you know, behind a truck and hoping for the best. Like, it's you know, if I can get my money back and do something with it, yeah, that is pretty great. Thank you. So I don't have any questions. I just trust you implicitly, and I'm just so grateful that I don't have to try and figure these things out, what to do with, you know, tens of thousands of dollars. It's kind of nice too. Thank you.
Thank you.
That wasn't a question. Sorry. Just
Great. We appreciate the vote of confidence and the feedback. It was a tough decision.
It's very tough.
I was just going to add, you know, in terms of the piece about Esquimalt being on the phone call with the city planners, and speaking with different city planners over the course of this project, they really, over the last few months, have identified that corner as a corner where they can really pump up the density. Some of you may have seen the newsletter, the photo of the 12-story building behind Constance, and there's more down the street. And so Lorraine kind of alluded to Esquimalt growing, and maybe they wanted to put the brakes on. And in fact, it actually feels like the opposite. Rather than, you know, us coming along and doing a small project, they're like, oh no, we want 80, 100 units on that site now. So it feels like they're turning up the notch. And that particular corner where we're in is really where they want to see a lot of development.
And you know, and if we could have feasibly pulled off a project like that, we would have loved to have been able to do that. But you know, as Sherry alluded, we explored all the options, and the risk of buying out that strata building and the time frame that it could take is just too great to hold your money for that long. And it just spreads out the return. Even though the return would be greater on a larger building, it spreads out the time frame such that we don't know what interest rates, material costs, all of that would be in potentially 2 or 3 years time.
And that risk is just far too great. And if we can't guarantee, you know, that we're going to give you a healthy return, we just don't want to do that, because we are looking at this partnership with you for the long term. And Crown Capital Properties is not going anywhere. We are, you know, this is a hurdle and a roadblock that we've hit, but it certainly hasn't dampened our enthusiasm to find a project that, you know, will be giving you the returns that we hope. And you know, we've got a 10-year plan, and we want a 10-year partnership. And you know, this was a hard decision for us to make, but between the four of us, protecting our integrity and partnership with you is more important than taking that risk.
Well said.
I think I saw a couple more hands.
Okay. Sorry, I missed them.
That's okay. Judy, did you want to jump in? I thought I saw a question there.
Judy and Cheryl, you need to wait, we have to unmute you first.
There we go.
There we go.
There you go.
ahead, Judy.
Okay, Cheryl, Judy.
I just wanted to say on behalf of Judy and I think you made a very difficult but very sound judgment on this. And I personally really appreciate it. I know you
Thank
spent
you.
a lot of time. I've managed condominiums, so I know what that must have been like to see if they might possibly sell. So we get on board anytime with you. So don't feel bad about it. It was a lot of work. And
Yay!
the next time,
Thank
it'll go.
you.
Yay. Well done.
Thank you so much.
And Allison wanted to pass on a similar message. You know,
Mhm.
Allison just said, just because we've got the chat turned kind of down at the moment, pass along the message that she's completely fine with this. It's no problem. And she totally understands the decision. So thanks for the message, Allison. Always our first person to jump in.
Yeah.
I've got just one question. I got 4 kids. How do you get this mute thing to work for when you're dealing with your kids?
When we all like to know that one, I'll tell you. Yeah.
Cheryl, did you have a question?
No, that's what I wanted to say.
Oh, yeah, we have 2 Cheryls, sorry.
Okay, so Cheryl Chan, did you have a question?
I didn't know, but I will say I do appreciate that this must have been a very difficult decision. And, you know, it's sad. I was really looking forward to this and it was very exciting. But I echo the other sentiments. I'm very much looking forward to your next project.
Yay!
Yay. Yes, we will do it. But not where the risk is like this. Yeah.
Makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, Lorraine left. She waved goodbye. Paul and Judith.
Yeah. So you're saying in about 30 days, the next project will be starting?
That would be wonderful.
That would be great, but no, we don't have that yet. But
we're
we'll-
looking.
we're
Yeah.
looking.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So that's good. Yeah. Because we believe in you and everybody else, and we know it's going to happen. It's just when. So
Yeah. Yeah.
we'll set a 30-day goal and we'll go from there.
Well,
Yes.
that sounds great. And we are looking, and we wanted to, you know, just make sure that we gave everybody time to get their capital back and regroup. And not be saying to you, well, this one isn't going to work out, but we've got this other one and we'll take your money now. We wanted to give everybody a little bit of a breather before we jumped in, but it's certainly heartwarming to hear the level of confidence that everybody has in you know, obviously in particular in Sherry and her track record and in what we've all been building together. And so we're you know, we couldn't be, I think, you know, happier with the way this is going, because we are bummed that, you know, we're totally bummed that we
We're
couldn't do
very
this.
disappointed.
We were excited about doing this, and we're excited about staying together and moving forward and continuing to work on a new project. And
Yeah.
grateful that all of you are taking this news so well.
We should also note, when we started this project, 2 of us were living on the island and 2 were on the mainland, and now we are all living on the island. So Joan was the last one who just made the move. She sold her house. She now moved into her nice new place on the gorge. And so we're glad to have her on the island. And Liza, of course, is out in Souk. And Lori and I are here in Victoria. But yeah, so it's nice that, and now with the COVID restrictions lifting, we can actually get together in person, which it'll be nice to have that happening again. And it'll be nice to sort of have a meeting with everyone in person as
There will
well.
be wine. There will be wine.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Lori,
Yeah,
If
we
I
have
can
to
just,
make
if
sure
I
all the
can,
checks are signed
oh.
first.
yeah, if I can just jump in, and I want to, of course, echo what my partners are saying. This was a really heartbreaking call for us tonight, and we are grateful for your support and your trust. And yeah, Crown Capital's not going away. You know, we've always said that first and foremost, it's all about our investors and preserving their capital. So we're grateful that we're able to do that for you all, and we look forward to having you on board the next project, because there will be one. So thank you all for your trust and your support.
Yeah.
Any other comments or questions?
So I guess, Rick, whoever the investor has a contact with will be providing some paperwork and facilitating all of that, or does that happen through your office, Rick?
We'll probably go through you folks. So I'll go through Sherry, and we'll get the necessary paper prepared and ready for being sent out.
Great.
They've already been working on it, so that's good. So that's why we can keep it in the timeline that we have stipulated in the 2-week time frame. For those of you who arrived a little bit late on the call, you know, we've recorded this, and of course, you know, we'll likely be in direct contact over the next little while anyway, to fill you in if you feel that you missed anything. But I'm sure that most of you have the gist of it at this point.